Hi everyone, thanks so much for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just so happen to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or follow me on Instagram. All of these things help me grow my channel like a plant. I feel like my last couple videos are just me doing tasks that I've been putting off forever. Today is no different. We're rehabbing a snake plant that I don't even know if I have ever shared with you all. It is in Jonah's room. So if you're new here, Jonah's my boyfriend and we have separate bedrooms right now. I decided to put a snake plant in there because he wanted a plant, but I didn't really want to think about going into his room for plant care. So I thought a snake plant would be the way to go, except even though everyone's always like snake plants always thrive on neglect, they still need to be taken care of, and I just have not been taking care of this plant. The front half of this plant is like completely drooping down onto the floor. There are dead and extremely dehydrated leaves throughout the plant, and I haven't watered it in literally months. It's time for a little makeover for this snake plant. I have this plant, and then I also got this because I think I'm actually going to remove some of the plant that is currently sitting in this pot, and I kind of want to combine it with this other sansevieria. I think it'll look good and fuller and fun, so that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna try to make this less chaotic than Tuesday's video because if you haven't seen that, it was a mess. So I'm gonna try to set up everything a little bit better. We're gonna get down to the floor and just get started. All right, so here we are on the floor. I'm gonna try to project my voice so that you can hear me. And also today's #1 goal, besides repotting this plant, is to try to make as little of a mess as possible. We will see how that goes. I put down the plant folio that I have down on the floor. I don't really know how well this smaller repotting mat is gonna work, but we're just gonna give it a go. I think the first thing that I wanna do is, I guess, just take this plant out and see what we're working with in terms of roots. Oh my god, the soil is so dehydrated. Yeah, this soil is just wildly dehydrated. It's like, and the root system is so small. This is currently in probably, my guess is this is an 8-inch pot, not 8, 10-inch pot, my guess. And it does not belong in here. Ooh. I'm gonna have other plants to fill it up a little bit. All right. So we have the plant. I'm gonna rest it down a little bit. I think now I'm gonna just go through and pick off the dead stuff like this. I should have worn a mask. Okay, I'm gonna go through and pick out like healthy and dead stuff and see what I want to salvage, what I want to propagate, and what I just want to get rid of. This is how dead the plant is. There's just like, these are supposed to be roots. You know, like this is how neglected. You're supposed to water your snake plants. Don't listen to Pinterest. Okay, I'm gonna flip you around real quick just to show you kind of what's going on over here. This is the pile that I think I have a good chance of saving. Decent sized root systems that are not fully dehydrated and a little bit of dry secondary roots. These are all very, very thirsty plants, and the root system is not where I want it to be for the full size of the plant. Obviously, this is a little sparse, but I think that these plants are the workable bunch that I'm gonna continue to rehab and add to the big pot. Here we have a very sad pile of the extremely dehydrated soil. All of these roots were the ones that came off, and there's no saving these. They're just dead, and they kind of like feel and sound like straw. Ew, what is this? What is that? This thing. I don't like it. And then here we have plants that I am not fully confident in being able to rescue them. I'm probably gonna make a whole separate snake plant propagation video, and I'm gonna use these as my little demo plants, I guess. I am not a snake plant pro, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this rehab video, but I think and please, this is just me experimenting, but I think I'm gonna put them in a jar of water so that for like maybe a few days and kind of halt the repotting situation that I have going on. I think that I want to do that so that A, these plants can get a good drink of water, but also it'll show me if any of these thinner secondary roots are kind of like goners and are gonna turn to rot. Because one thing that I do want to point out for sure is that you can get root rot from underwatering. I've talked about this before, but basically what can happen is I can assume that these roots are fine, pot them into soil in a pot and give it a good water because she's thirsty. But since these roots are so frail and thin, they might not be able to soak up that water and instead get overwhelmed with the amount of water in the pot and then rot, and then the plant will have root rot and die as well. So I kind of want to avoid that because I think that this is a great example of a plant that could happen to. If any of the roots start to die off in the water, I can go ahead and remove it before it infects the entire plant and root system. Real quick before I wrap up for the day, I also wanted to point out exactly what a really dehydrated snake plant looks like so you know the signs. And do you see these wrinkles on this leaf right here? These like very distinct lines. That is a very dehydrated snake plant. Okay, so this is a snake plant that is happy. This is actually a propagation from the rehab plant that we're talking about. And you can see there are no very distinct wrinkles. You see how it's very smooth? There's like a little bit of lines. That's just the texture of the leaf. There's no wrinkles and it's very smooth. And when I push on it, you see how there's like no bend really? That is a happy snake plant. Hi, okay, so it is the next day and ideally I would probably let these plants sit in this water for, I don't know, maybe a week or two, just so I can really get a good understanding of the root system. Maybe some new roots would start to develop, but I need a video for Friday, so we're just gonna go ahead and move forward with this little rehab. I have the original pot here and I put a base layer in. The soil that I'm using is actually not my typical mix. It is the amended soil mix. I have some leftover of that and I want to use it up, and it's very, very airy, so I feel good about using it for the snake plant. I'm gonna try so hard not to say spider plant. If you're a friend of the channel, you know. If you haven't watched that video, essentially it is just pre-mixed potting soil, a little bit of orchid bark, and a bunch of perlite. I definitely recommend going with terracotta for snake plants because they really do not like to sit in soggy soil. That's kind of like all of the precautions I'm taking against root rot. I think I'm gonna start with the Laurentii cuttings and kind of place them where I want, and then I will fill them with this. I forgot what the variety is called. I think that them together will look kind of nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and place some of them in this pot. Okay, I have them all in this pot, and now I'm gonna take this plant and take it out of the soil and take the crowns and kind of also place it in this pot. Look at this. What? That is awesome. So this is like the main plants, and then these are all little shoots growing off of it. That is so cool. Hi, so we finished with this. I think it looks great. You can see that it is a lot more vertical and not drooping down. It's a lot fuller. The foliage in general is a lot happier. I think soaking it even just for the one night helped this plant get the water that it very desperately needed. The roots definitely got some of that healthy reddish color back. I feel pretty good about the plants that I had left and rehabbed overnight. While repotting this plant, I just wanted to say, like, for the snake plant specifically, repotting them can be a little bit tricky because you have so many sturdy, long leaves. You want to make sure that you support properly while you're repotting. What I recommend is just going in a circle. Like, don't focus on one side for too long because then you'll probably have a little bit of a leaning plant. You want to make sure that you're slowly going around the pot in a circle. You're kind of like taking a step back every once in a while and making sure that a leaf or a crown isn't leaning, because then you want to go ahead and support it up and then push down on the soil around it so that it has that support. I also would say to pay attention to the center of the pot because you want to make sure that there is soil getting into like the center bit, which can be kind of hard. I almost missed it, and then there's just like this no soil center. So just put like a few scoopfuls of soil in the center of the pot and make sure that there is soil and support there as well. That's all I did. She looks great. And I think the last step for me now is to go ahead and wash her little leaves off and give her a good soak. Okay, so that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I am so happy that I finally had a not chaotic plant video. Everything went pretty much according to plan, and I am so happy with the final product. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, clicking that notification bell, liking the video, commenting, checking out my merch, all that good stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!